Tonight from Rupp Arena in Lexington, Kentucky, small school Asbury is in town. It's an opportunity for a bunch of Kentucky kids to make memories. But with that opportunity comes nerves. Here's Damian Fishback.
Here in Rupp Arena, one of the more intimidating environments in college basketball. When you play at Rupp, you realize only 4 losses, 119 wins in this arena under Coach Cal. And now your palms are sweating. You have all of those butterflies, and you realize Rupp Arena has 24,000 right up on top of you. You see the banners hanging. And that is what Asbury is about to face as Rupp Arena begins to erupt.
And with that, we welcome you to college basketball on the SEC Network. Final exhibition game of this season for the Kentucky Wildcats. Tom Hart courtside at Rupp Arena, and as always, national championship aspirations for John Calipari's squad. The resume this year looks like a loaded backcourt, just like last year. Tyler Willis and Jamal Murray are off to the NBA. Now it's a three-headed monster to try and lead this Kentucky team, and they're all different. Isaiah Briscoe, muscle-bound defensive stopper. De'Aaron Fox, freshman point guard, can run with anybody. And Malik Monk, maybe one of the best athletes in the entire Southeastern Conference. It should be a fun team to watch, and Damian Fishback rejoins me courtside here. This should be a fun game to watch because Asbury comes to us out of the NAIA, and they want to run and gun. Buckle up. We're going to see some points tonight.
Yeah, we look at a team that runs the shift system. So not the platoon. They'll have their guys in substituting every 90 seconds. It ought to be fun.
All right, so we watch this Kentucky team that has another loaded freshman class, including Bam Adebayo, who just gave it up inside. And Asbury comes out of it. Will Henderson, one of their leaders, will give it up. This is a team that's already 2-0 on their young season. They average 103 points a game. The last time out, they put up 101 field goal attempts. And the first look is a backdoor cut in the bucket early, and there's some Asbury folks in the crowd tonight as Tyler Smith converts.
Yeah, a lot of purple in this crowd right now, Tom.
And there's some blue, too, as Bam Adebayo throws it down.
The biggest difference in this basketball team, how fast they are. 1 through 5, they're lean, they're quick, and they're athletic.
John Calipari once again has a deep bench. It'll be interesting to watch his rotations tonight. In and out from Dalton Peters. And Kentucky will push it. They don't mind this pace. Malik Monk is short on his first 3 attempts. And here's Will Henderson. This system that's run by Will Schaus, an Asbury grad and a Kentucky fan through and through. Rex Chapman was his favorite player. Calls for 90 field goal attempts and half of them to be threes. And so this breakneck pace will continue throughout the night. And our first wave of subs, it's not altogether unlike Cal's platoon system from a couple years ago, but they shift every 90 seconds to get fresh bodies in. Will Schaus has been on the court 16 seasons in an Asbury uniform, played there, was an assistant, and now the head coach in his 9th season.
Well, they said they were going to have a lot of fun here tonight. Nothing to lose, and they were going to try to speed the Wildcats up, and we've seen that a little bit earlier in the first couple of minutes of this game.
And they'll do it with trapping on the defensive end. They don't expect to play defense for this long a possession as Isaiah Briscoe is unable to convert. What do we expect out of Kentucky tonight? Because it will be very hard to judge overall their success. They'll be heavy favorites. They should run away with this thing in a high-scoring affair. But how can we judge whether or not it's a successful night for the Cats?
Well, I think 2 things. Number one, how they handle success. You look at the last game, you win by 40-plus points against Clarion. And here tonight, how will you come prepared? Coach Cal said they strategically schedule every team on their schedule.
Bam Adebayo on the glass. He'll get it out to Monk. Now here's Derek Willis running the floor with the jam. They will chuck it as often as they can. They shot 45 threes their last game.
Well, this is what's so different about this Kentucky team. Watch how fast they are. 1 pass, 1 bounce, another pass at the rim. This team is so lightning quick from rim to rim. When you change possession, defensive transition has to be at the top of your list when going against the Wildcats.
Talking with John Calipari today, he's really pleased with the way his bigs have been getting up and down the floor. We got an offensive foul in the open floor against Isaiah Briscoe. There's John Calipari, 8th season as a Kentucky head coach, a Hall of Famer, inducted last season. He's won 82% of his games, and this looks like, I know they say it every year, this looks like another national championship contender, does it not?
It's very impressive what he does. I mean, you think about some of the best chefs in the world. This chef brings in different ingredients every year and just has a phenomenal meal.
A rare turnover. That's Boucher Ramabo, freshman from Philadelphia. He's one of the only guys in this Asbury roster that's not from the Commonwealth. Not uncommon to your experience, my friend. You played here in the state. You played in Rupp Arena as a high schooler, then again in the SEC. Do you think there's some nerves from the Asbury kids being on this floor for the first time?
There's no doubt about it. Nerves, excitement.
Oh, Briscoe picks up his second, both on the offensive end.
What's intriguing about this is, and this is what Coach Cal talked about, this is great preparation for them. I mean, you look at a team that pressures you across the country like West Virginia and Bob Huggins. They're going to speed you up, and this is 2 quick fouls on Briscoe early in the game.
And a reach in on Bam Adebayo, about 22 feet from the floor. So Isaiah Briscoe has picked up 2 personal fouls here within the first 3 minutes. He's going to stay on the floor. John Calipari already has a substitution pattern in his mind, and he wants to leave these 3 guards on the floor together as long as he can here early on. Left it behind, and De'Aaron Fox picks it up. Goes to his left. Fox, a freshman out of Houston, Texas. Dalton Peters fires. They are off the mark from behind the arc, even though... Oh, Derek Willis.
How quick was that, Tom?
A walk on Asbury and Trenton Thompson.
Coach Cal said in practice the difference between his bigs and any other bigs in the country was their mobility, their skill set, their ability to get out, run the floor, their ability to pass the basketball. The bigs on this team differentiate themselves by their versatility this year.
When Gabriel enters the game for Kentucky, first sub off the bench for John Calipari alongside Dominic Hawkins. Hawkins gets it up and turns it over, stolen away by Tyler Smith. He's a Lexington native, and Smith takes it off the window, but too strong. Offensive rebound, back up and in by Smith out of Bryan Station High School. He's the leading returning starter for this Asbury team.
Nice battle that time by Tyler Smith, averaged 10.5 last year. The young man has good quickness, a lot of grit being displayed early by this Asbury team.
De'Aaron Fox leaves 3 Asbury defenders behind and takes it to the glass. Preseason first team all-conference Cousy Award watch list. And he's simply a freshman. Adebayo comes up with it. And a reach in on the save to Fox. And that'll be the first on Will Henderson. A chance to catch our breath, Damian Fishback. Kentucky out on a 10-4 lead. 10-4 lead for Kentucky over Asbury. First media timeout here at Rupp Arena. Final exhibition game of this season for this Kentucky team. Welcome back, everybody. Tom Hart, Damian Fishback. 5 field goals for Kentucky thus far. 3 dunks, 2 layups. They're going to get up and down in this game, and they're going to get up and down all season.
They really are. You know, you look at this year's team and the way they play, very different than last year's team, Tom. They're quicker, a little bit faster, and a lot deeper this year.
This is a Kentucky team last year which lost to Indiana in the NCAA tournament. 27 wins. They won the regular season in the conference. Tournament champions in Nashville. They lost 76% of their scoring. It was arguably the best backcourt in college basketball last year. Tyler Willis was a coach on the floor. Murray next to him was nearly as productive. So how will this year's team look different from last year's?
Well, we talked about it a little bit, how fast they are. Watch this off of the rebound. You look at Gabriel, he gets it out, one dribble, a pass up, and Willis off to the races. Anytime you see that, and then how they pressure you, their hands, their active feet, and then Dominique upstairs to the top floor, and you see Willis again. The difference is their ability to get out on the break and how quick they are.
And look at that. Out of the break, they're quick. De'Aaron Fox has a half dozen here early. Coming back the other way, Asbury has yet to make a three in the early going. And they're challenged at the rim by Isaac Humphries, who just entered. So here's some of that depth we're seeing now for Kentucky. Sasha Killeya-Jones, freshman out of Chapel Hill, North Carolina, on the floor for the first time. And Gabriel with a long two. A reach-in foul on Clarion Washington. He's a sophomore from Georgetown, Kentucky, out of Scott County High School.
Well, and so if you're Asbury right now, to try to keep this game under control, you know, defensively you have to be solid, but inevitably they have to make shots. So, you know, the threes that aren't going down have to go down for them to stay close in this game.
They are 2 for 12 from the floor, 0 for 6 from 3, and there's their first make, a floating three by Washington.
There it is. They're going to live by it and die by it.
I had a great conversation with Will Schaus, their head coach, before the game today, and he said, listen, we could come in here and try to play a different system and slow it down because Kentucky is obviously more talented than us, but he goes, in 10 years when I'm sitting by the fire with my buddies, I don't want to tell them, yeah, we went in the rough and held the ball. No, we got our shots up. Even after shoot-around yesterday, he got his shots up.
Well, you know, it's intriguing because you look at this Kentucky team, and the expectations are always high for them. But this year, there's a couple of components that have been successful that they've had in the other teams. They have extraordinary talent, and they have very good depth on this team.
Probably apply to both teams within their respective conferences, that last comment. Humphries brings it down. One of the bigs that Cal has really been happy with over the course of the early part of the season. De'Aaron Fox is able to hang and hit. He's got 8 early. Number 6 overall player in the ESPN rankings. He chose Kentucky over Kansas, Louisville, and LSU, and boy, they got a good one.
Well, I love his ability to be wiry strong. He's very slender, you know, at 6'3", but he's tough. And you look at the way he scores points. Let's remember, he had back-to-back 40-point performances in Texas high school state playoffs. He scored 30 or more points in 20 games. So even though this guy's unselfish, he can put up numbers when he needs to.
You know what I love about the backcourt for Kentucky is they've got 3 very talented guys, but they're all different. They all have a different skill set. Fox's biggest one is his vision and his speed. You could throw Hawkins in there. He's a reliable player for Calipari. And the ball's out of bounds. Will go to Asbury here. 5.5 minutes in.
And this is what I want to see here. I think they're a different team with De'Aaron Fox in the basketball game because of his speed, because just being a natural point guard, if you will. Now it'll be anxious to see whether it's Hawkins or Briscoe who handles the basketball a lot more for the Wildcats.
So Fox takes a seat for the first time, and a beautiful touch by Will Henderson. He's a transfer from Morehead State from Nicholasville, Kentucky. And a near steal in the backcourt. Briscoe's taken down from behind, and that'll be a foul in the backcourt on Asbury.
I love it. I love it. The hustle being displayed by Asbury right now. It's an exhibition game, but these guys are fighting, scratching, clawing, going after loose balls, and this is the system that Coach Schaus talked to us about.
Yeah, they want to take 90 shots a game, and half of them coming from behind the arc. They want to get on the glass, rebound a third of their misses, force a ton of turnovers. They haven't done that yet. But the bottom line is they want 15 more field goal attempts in their opposition. And if they do that, according to the Bible of the system, wow, you got to try to stop that as Killeya-Jones does it down. But if they do that, the statistical analysis says they'll win 99% of their games if they accomplish those statistical goals. You buy it? I mean, throw it out tonight, okay?
Throw it out tonight.
Throw it out tonight. Well, they're not going to out-rebound Kentucky, and they're not going to get – they might get 15 more field goal attempts, but they're only scoring .33 points per possession this far. Wow. Gabriel able to reverse it in. It's a 21-9 lead for Kentucky, and we'll get another wave of subs coming in. They'll say 30-second timeout asked for by Will Schaus, and he's telling the officials, I didn't call a timeout. So Even though he's back on this floor as a Kentucky fan, and things aren't necessarily going well for him here. They play. This is an Asbury team that plays in the River States Conference, formerly known as the Kentucky Intercollegiate Athletic Conference. Will played at Asbury. He's a Lawrenceburg, Kentucky native. They're from Wilmore, Kentucky, about 20 miles up the road. NAIA Division II, and the difference between Division I and Division II is a scholarship allotment. They only have 6 scholarships. That's the max at the Division II level, and Asbury's not quite at that number yet. But these guys, they just play for the love of the game. It's as simple as that.
Well, let's remember, this isn't Coach Shout's first time here. He actually came here, played in high school in the state championship, or actually in the state tournament that's hosted in Rupp Arena. And so he was just as excited as his players at this opportunity that they have tonight.
The Asbury Eagles, they will jack them, and that one goes in for Clarion Washington. He's got 6. Isaiah Briscoe leaving 2 defenders in the dust, and Kentucky will push it. Hawkins hangs, and he'll earn a trip to the free throw line. It'll be really interesting to figure out how Dominic Hawkins, a few seniors on this team, fits into John Calipari's rotation over the course of the season.
Well, that's always been the difference in their teams, right? When Kentucky has had ultra-successful teams, their veterans hadn't really taken the leadership role, but they have known their role. Darius Miller, when he was a veteran on this basketball team, was a guy that could come in, make quick baskets, could give them some post-up and inside presence. The question is, what Hawkins, what guys like Mulder will do this year, you know, in that Pacific role as well as Willis.
Malik Monk re-enters for Kentucky.
He replaces Dominic Hawkins.
And Hawkins takes a seat. Dominic Hawkins coming off the bench for Cal is a guy that he can rely on. He knows he can trust him even in big games. And that's quite a luxury that you don't necessarily have when you're dealing with a bunch of first-year players. Back rim, and Briscoe brings down the rebound. Out to Malik Monk. He can rise, and he's able to lay it in. One half, he thought he got undercut. Monk has his first bucket. So any one guy in this Kentucky roster that you're really looking forward to watching this season? I mean, I'm asking for one.
With 5 McDonald's All-Americans, Tom? You want me to pick one?
Huh? I do. Put you on the spot. Because I know mine. I want to see what Malik Monk is going to do this year. Rebound and an outlet to Briscoe. And he'll go to the free throw line. Austin Kindred commits the personal foul.
Tom Hart. Tyler Ulis was the leader on last year's team. Isaiah Briscoe has relished in the leadership role, and Coach Cal told us today at the shoot-around that he was happy for him. I think he exemplifies what this team has to be this year, which is they have to be tough. They have to be gritty. They're well-conditioned, and they're so unselfish, and a group of guys who genuinely like one another.
Isaiah Briscoe at the free throw line. Sophomore shot just 46% from the free throw line last year.
And that's something that Kentucky has to continue to improve upon.
Nice move inside and a bucket for Ramabu. He played at Oak Hill. Here's Mulder, his first attempt. And now Willis short.
The Achilles heel for Kentucky. Still question whether they can continue to knock down shots from the perimeter. They'll be anxious to see if Asbury tries to make them do that.
Briscoe gets fouled going to the rim. It's the first on Boucher Ramabo. So it's a 12-point lead for Kentucky and a timeout on the floor here at Rupp Arena. Big Blue Nation excited to see just how good the second-ranked Wildcats can be. Look pretty good so far tonight. SEC Inside, you'll get an all-access pass to Auburn football for their game against Vandy yesterday. Never before seen footage and sounds from pregame to postgame right here on the SEC Network. Also streaming live on the ESPN app and watch ESPN. That was a thriller. It was a crazy day in the SEC yesterday on the football field. And Auburn held on to win, and a thriller here in Lexington. John Calipari is really fired up at what Mark Stoops is doing with their game. But they lost on a last-second field goal to Georgia. Let's talk hoops. What stands out to you, the preseason top 10?
Well, you know, you look at Duke, and I saw them in their exhibition game. Obviously, Giles out right now. Josh Tatum didn't play in that game, but they look very, very old, like in a positive way, meaning there are guys that look seasoned. I look at Kansas, obviously, with a couple of terrific guards. And then I look at Oregon. First time in the history for them being in the top 5. I think they're going to have a sensational team this year. College basketball is a lot of fun, and I'm so glad that it's back, Tom.
Oregon had a great year last year. They won the Pac-12. Dana Altman has some versatile bigs. That's what I thought of when Cal was talking about his bigs today. Well, boy, Dana Altman's got some guys who can get up and down the floor, too. Briscoe knocks down the first free throw. He's 2 for 3 from the charity stripe now tonight. They need him to make shots. I mean, it's as simple as that.
Well, they need all of their guys to make free throws. Last game, Briscoe was 4 of 5 from the free throw line, but the team was actually only 13 of 22. And we know as the competition level continues to steepen, those free throws will come into play.
Once again, Kentucky playing a remarkably tough schedule this year as Michael Mulder gets his hand on the pass and will lay it in. First bucket for the senior.
You know, Mulder shot 46% from the three-point line in JUCO, Tom. And he's an individual who's a guy who I think can really help this basketball team. He had tremendous practices when I saw him early in the season. He's just got to get confidence to do it in the game.
Calipari's telling us he's had a great week of practice out front. Whoa! Rim got in the way of Fox and a foul on the rebound. But the bottom line with Mulder, most people look at a game like tonight and say, well, Kentucky's going to run this team out of the gym, and that will be the case. But that doesn't mean that Michael Mulder can't gain minutes and playing time with a good performance tonight to show that he has earned those minutes.
Well, and what I like about Coach Calipari is he's a guy who tells his players. He'll tell them where they stand on their team as far as minutes go. And, you know, when you look at the way that he's always been a player-first coach, that's all players want. They want you to tell them where you stand.
Willis has stood above the rim a couple of times tonight. He's got a half dozen. 18-point lead for the Cats. Asbury just 2 of 14 from 3. Nobody picks. Oh! 12. Well, I'm going to update a number you're going to be impressed with here in a second. Fox again with the layup. Another open floor bucket. He's got a baker's dozen here early. 13 of Kentucky's 36 for the freshman point guard. Kentucky has 16 made field goals, 6 dunks and 9 layups. 15 of their 16 field goals have come at the rim.
Well, they do a nice job defensively. You know, I talked about De'Aaron Fox and his ability to score. I think his athleticism is underrated as well. You see that he's quick and very fast, and we talked about him being wiry strong, but he's a guy who can elevate. That helps them on the defensive end. It helps them on the defensive rebounding boards as well.
Turnover by Asbury. Rebounding was an interesting conversation with Cal today. It's about the effort right now early in the season, even more so than the raw numbers.
Well, and that's something that Kentucky needs to continue to improve upon. You look at last year in the SEC, South Carolina was so dominant on the glass. You look at a tough loss that they had at Texas A&M. It was an offensive rebound.
4 for Monk now. Bam Adebayo on the floor. Physical presence inside for him. And a good-looking bucket by Alex Dennis. He's from Mount Eden, Kentucky. They'll get a trap in the backcourt, and it will stay with Kentucky. 90 seconds on and 90 seconds off for each shift for these Asbury Eagles, and the officials will confer. It will stay with Kentucky.
Well, and Coach Cal told us at the shoot-around, the main goal was that you look at the Clarion tape, and they scored 9 three-pointers. They were 9 of 20 from the three-point line. He said if we do that in conference play, we get beat. So this game was scheduled specifically for them to work on defending the three.
4-on-1 break for Asbury. A little teardrop off the wall. Beautiful shot by Clarion Washington. He's got a team-high 8.
Like that by Washington, averaging 7.5 points a game and 3.5 rebounds. Nice teardrop.
Monk finds Gabriel for the rim rocket. He's got 4. The dunks continue. High percentage shots for Kentucky. And another wave of subs coming in for the Eagles.
Well, Tom, Kentucky has always had guys who could block shots. And, you know, for Asbury, when we see them taking guys in and out, this is how you do it. A nice teardrop over the outstretched of Malik Monk. What do you think that vertical leap is?
Malik's? Pretty good. So, it's really interesting. That's why I want to watch Malik Monk play this year. Because the idea behind what he can do offensively is that because he has such a high vertical, he can get a shot whenever he wants it. It's a matter of learning what is a good shot and what isn't. Fox slices his way into the lane. 15 for the freshman. Nice step through, but no finish with the left hand that time from Tyler Smith. And some extracurriculars. Isaiah Briscoe already has 2 personal fouls.
And that's what I mean when I say the personality of this team. Last year it took the personality of Tyler Willis. Tyler Willis was small, but he was extremely tough. And this is just Isaiah Briscoe responding to the tough play, how gritty it is, and not wanting to back down. No need for that push, though, at the end by Briscoe.
Briscoe at the line for 2.
So Isaiah Briscoe to the free throw line. Had 11 assists in the first exhibition game of the season.
Right? He didn't even take a shot in the first half. How unselfish is that? And that's kind of what Coach Cal talked to us about at the shoot-around. He said there's a lot of other places guys can go, but when they go here, they know if they just win, then they're going to have a tremendous opportunity to be drafted at a high level. And you've seen that from Devin Booker, the way he's playing at the next level. Of course, Anthony Davis, Karl Anthony Towns, guys that had limited minutes and limited shots, but were still able to thrive not only in college, but at the NBA level.
Tough shot by Dominic Hawkins. 9 starts in his career. Reliable player off the bench for John Calipari. Rejection by Killeya-Jones, and he'll get whistled for the foul. That's his first. Kentucky shooting 69% from the floor. That's pretty good. Would be a landslide victory for the Hall of Fame coach, and John Calipari has his team off and running. They win when it comes to recruiting, and that drives everything that they do here in Big Blue Nation. And you can sign a kid like De'Aaron Fox and let him loose in a game like this, forget about it.
Well, the guy's 6'3", 187 pounds, and I think that's soaking wet, but he plays so much bigger and stronger than that. His first step is lightning quick, and the ability to maneuver and go in and out of traffic with contact. You can see why he was 2016 Texas Gatorade High School Player of the Year. Athletic family. Mother actually played at Arkansas Little Rock as well. And this young man, I think, has an opportunity to follow in the footsteps of Tyler Willis and participate possibly for that Bob Cousy Award.
Does he fit the profile of a Calipari point guard?
Whew, that's tough, right? John Wall, Derrick Rose, look at Tyler Willis last year. I think he does, and the reason why he does is because he's unselfish. He's extremely talented. He has size at his position, which is a little different from Tyler Willis, but all of the point guards had one thing in common, and that's they had grit, they had toughness, and he exuberates that.
He certainly finds a way to bring it out of his players. Fox, they'll reverse it in. He's got a game-high 17, and we're not even 13 minutes into this game. You think he likes his pace?
Well, I'll tell you what's going to happen is a lot of people are going to look at this film and think twice about pressing Kentucky because of Fox.
Foul in the open floor will be on Boucher Ramabu. That's his second personal foul. That'll put De'Aaron Fox at the free throw line. Freshman out of Cypress Lakes High School in Houston, Texas. A 3,000-point scorer in high school and the MVP of the Jordan Brand Classic.
I mean, what was eye-popping to me, you know, you think 30 points, 40 points. When I saw that he scored 50 points in a basketball game, Tom, I was overwhelmed. I mean, he looks offensively talented, but 50 points is a lot of points. I don't care what level you're at.
And he nearly had the rip there. Asbury gets on the floor after it. Briscoe in the mix. Gabriel fighting for the loose ball. Briscoe finds it and lobs it ahead. Killeya-Jones finds Hawkins. Chaos on the floor on that last possession. College basketball season tips off Friday. We'll have Wildcat and Aggie games right here on the SEC Network. Kentucky opens with Stephen F. Austin. Kyle Keller, their new head coach, after Brett Underwood went to Oklahoma State. And then to College Station for Texas A&M and Northwestern State. 28 wins last year for A&M. A Sweet 16 team, but they lost 4 starters. Both also can be seen streaming live on the ESPN app and watch ESPN. What do you expect out of A&M?
Well, it's interesting. I was watching their exhibition game, and DJ Hogan and Tyler Davis were actually out in their last game, but very impressed with Edmond Gilder. And Williams is a freshman that's long, nice shot blocking ability. I think they'll be in the mix as he goes down the stretch in conference.
Briscoe up ahead to Hawkins. Hawkins looking for the lob. Just off the mark to Monk. There'll be a chance perhaps for another one here. Here's Malik Monk. Oh my goodness. The fact that he even tried that? Seriously? We're going to watch this all season from this kid?
You know, you saw where he took off from, and you started to look at that takeoff. Probably took it back behind his head a little bit too high, and quite frankly, a dunk that he should have made.
Arkansas Gatorade Player of the Year.
And I think he was thrown off. Dalton Peters for Asbury. Kind of hit him with the body a little bit once he gets in the air. Anytime you get hit in the air as a basketball player, and you see here's the system. Another 90 seconds, another mass substitution.
Gabriel will take a seat for Kentucky, and Derek Willis returns. Malik Monk out of Bentonville High School, Northwest Arkansas. Kentucky got him from right under the nose of Mike Anderson in the Arkansas program. His brother played football for the Razorbacks. Briscoe tried to jump the pass.
You know, Kentucky pressed a little bit when they had that team that went 38-0 to start. They had Cauley Stein on the front of their pressure, and they had a lot of depth. I think probably some of the best talent we've seen in the one-and-done area. But I actually think, especially the 3 guards in Monk, De'Aaron Fox, and Briscoe, those 3 guards have the ability to anticipate and press as good as any collective group of guards that he's had.
They're going to play together a lot this year, about 30 minutes a game for those 3. Then Calipari has to find time to get others in. Hawkins, not the guy you want to throw a lob to in that scenario, but look who picks it up. Everything's going Kentucky's way as Humphreys gets his first field goal. And a steal by Briscoe, all alone. Hello.
Okay, Briscoe. Old man in Kentucky standards, right, as a sophomore. But I like Mr. Briscoe, the veteran. You see a smile on his face.
He's a sophomore, and you just called him an old man.
Yeah, man. You know, sophomore in Kentucky, those guys, not very often that you see here, but Isaiah Briscoe still showing us he can go all the way up, Tom Hart.
Well, it's a 56-19 lead for Kentucky, and you think about what they have now, you got to consider what they lost from last year. First rounders in Murray, Willis, and Labissiere. Tyler Willis, 7 assists a game, SEC Player of the Year, SEC Defensive Player of the Year. Just so important to the success of their team.
Well, it really was, and you think about that backcourt. You mentioned it. Probably as good as any backcourt in the country. Just run into a buzzsaw when they lost to Indiana. But how about the type of replacing he's going to have to do this year? You got 3 seniors. You're going to have to find probably 7, 8 scholarships minimum, and that's what he's doing while coaching this team this year.
Out front to Derek Willis.
Whoa! I see you, Mr. Willis. Been a long time since we've seen that. Tom Hart, this is what we used to call rocking the cradle.
Yes.
Pretty basketball.
A steal by Monk.
You know, with the dunk that we just saw with Willis, we thought he was going to, you know, try to take it up to another level. Still a nice dunk that time by Monk.
That's his first in the team.
You know, by the time this one's over, we might just be able to rate the top dunks from Kentucky tonight and see if anybody's pulled off the perfect 10. That was Willis's was up there.
I like that.
I'm going 9.5 right off the bat.
I can't give him a 9.5. Too early for that now, Tom.
Well, the bar is set, right? I mean, that's the leader in the clubhouse. You got to come better than that, rockabye. 10 dunks and 11 layups for Kentucky thus far tonight out of their 25 made field goals.
Well, listen, and if you're Asbury right now, you see Alex Dennis, Mount Eden, Kentucky, a senior guard. Listen, from Kentucky, an incredible opportunity for him to play here. You know, if you're Asbury right now, you just forget about the scoreboard and you want to play it in segments. You've got another 4-minute segment after this.
I think Big Blue Nation came into this game expecting a highlight reel in the first 14.5 minutes. They've been provided just that. We've got plenty more to go. Already 60 on the board for Kentucky, and Derek Willis going to the free throw line. Willis had a great finish to the season last year, Damon. Finished with 11 points and 8 boards over the last 8 games of the season. And he was a guy that, you know, after that Auburn game, came in and started hitting shots, and all of a sudden John Calipari said, this is a guy we can rely on.
Yeah, I really like Willis. You know, remember when Willis went down with that hurt ankle last season, and then Scal Labissiere really started to pick up his play, and it changed their rotation a little bit. I thought that was a turning point for Kentucky in which they still kind of had to figure out the rotation, and Derek had to figure out how to go from being a starter to coming off of the bench again, and never quite found himself.
You can see how his career has progressed. Made 11 starts last year, and he is your prototypical stretch 4 pick and pop guy that can knock down the open shot.
Well, he can knock down the open shot, but he's a guy who has to stay in the gym and put up shots for his shot to stay consistent. I think all of Kentucky's shooters are like that. They're rhythm shooters. They have to stay in the gym throughout the year.
Well, I might be a little bit confused here, but you're saying that as if there's some people in this game at this level that just have better feel, that don't have to be in there and put in that much work?
Definitely, definitely. There's guys who can just walk in the gym. Their form is so eloquent. There's not a lot of room for error. Steph Curry, I think, is one of those guys, even though he puts up a ton of shots, guys that can just really shoot it versus guys that have to work a lot harder to see it go through and have that confidence to knock it down consistently in the game.
Asbury is not lacking in confidence. They're not afraid to put it up. That's 17 3 attempts. Willis lays that one in. He has 11 points.
Assist to Briscoe.
As John Calipari today, what can you learn about your team in this game tonight, knowing full well that physically overmatching this Asbury squad? Briscoe to the right hand, and he said simply, I want to see how we defend the 3, how we switch off the pick and roll, if we can get hands up, if we can challenge them and try to defend the 3 properly. And Calipari's emptying his bench here with 4:18 to go, including his son Brad entering the game for the first time, along with Ty Wynyard. John Calipari's had an interesting couple weeks. He was at Game 7 of the World Series last week.
Must be nice, right? What a game that was, right?
He told us today, he said, that's the only game I've ever been to I didn't leave early. He said, and sometimes I leave my own games early, like South Carolina last year, because I stayed all the way through the final out of that Game 7, maybe the best baseball game ever played. Will Henderson has another free throw coming his way. Go to Mayweather-Pacquiao in Vegas. You swing up to Wrigley Field. Check out Game 7, most anticipated game in some time.
You have
coached in some big games too.
Well, you have a few connections when your players collectively have made $1.2 billion at the next level in the NBA.
Calipari fires, and he trains his first attempt. Brad Calipari coming off ACL injury, and the coach's son receiving a standing ovation here tonight.
And I think Coach Cal holds in that smile. He doesn't want to just let that father smile come out when his son plays good.
Well, when he played him extended minutes the other night, he said, I got back to the house, I opened up the door, all of a sudden I was George Clooney. My wife couldn't have been happier with me. Got my son in the game, he knocks down some threes. Everything's going Calipari's way here tonight. Still not out of the first half, and the blowout's already on. Effective recycling when you can run your Halloween costume back out for a game at Rupp. Shell-shocked indeed. Kentucky leading 69-21. It is once again a loaded non-conference schedule. Michigan State up early, Arizona State. UCLA will be a really interesting game. They come to Rupp Arena, I think, for the first time ever, and that is a squad that will probably be a lot better than some people anticipate. Steve Alford had a really tough year last year.
He really did, and you know, when you look at that schedule, it just shows you they really carry the torch for this conference, does Kentucky. I mean, North Carolina having guys like Kennedy Meeks, Josh Jackson, even though they lost Bryce Johnson last year, I mean, you know they're going to be playing with a chip on their shoulder after that tough loss to Villanova, but Coach Cal loves it. It was funny, though. I was talking to their SID and Eric Lindsay, and they said that Coach Cal compares himself to being like a president, how much he's aged since coming here to Kentucky, just going 50,000 miles an hour, but he thrives and he absolutely loves it here at Big Blue Nation.
Christian Morgan, Gallatin County High School here in the Commonwealth, knocks down the second free throw. Yeah, that North Carolina team will be interesting without Marcus Page, too. Of course, the last 5 seconds of the national championship game against Villanova. Heart-stopping. Hawkins, no. And the putback is there for Wynyard. First bucket for Ty Wynyard. Wow, nice bucket off the window by Morgan.
Well, he went 0 of 7 threes coming into this basketball game, so I love the way Morgan is putting his head down, going to the basket. And I think that's what you have to do, especially with the changing of rules. It continues to go more towards freedom of movement, giving the advantage to the offensive players. So put the onus on the officials to blow the whistle.
Hawkins lost to Nike. He'll have to put that one back on. 4 on 5 for Kentucky. He's going to leave it off for now. Dominic Hawkins playing with one shoe on. Get a bucket in your stocking feet. Come on! A bucket the other way for Michael Mulder. His first three. Where did the shoe end up? It ended up on the bench somehow, and now Hawkins will get an opportunity to put it back on.
How about that? And give credit to Dennis. Alex Dennis of Asbury wasn't worried about it. Listen, he's trying to get his team back in this game. But these are crucial minutes for Hawkins, for Mulder, for every player on this basketball team to show Coach Cal what they can do and to gain confidence themselves in front of 20,000 plus.
Hawkins with the reach in, trying to deny inside. That's his first personal foul. So let me put it to you this way. In practice, Kentucky sees better talent than they're seeing from the opposition tonight. No disrespect to Asbury, NAI Division II school. We know the difference in the programs. So why is it different to judge his players based on how they perform tonight against this opponent?
Well, I think that it's very difficult to judge these players against this competition level, Tom. What you can see, though, is you see that it's in front of an audience, right? So the nerves and the pressures that come from opponents coming to this arena, you have those same nerves to a certain extent, even if you play for the Kentucky Wildcats. Second of all, it's a great opportunity for Coach Cal to see different rotations, different combinations, and how they play together as well.
Gabriel takes it all the way to the rim for the slam.
He might have the biggest upside on this team. Coach Cal said he's the most versatile big man that they have, and I think he may be the rawest player that they have on the team as well.
Here he is again running the floor. See a better 3 or 4 in your mind. Hold that thought. Saturday, 10 Eastern, SEC Nation will be live from Gainesville with Maria, Tim, Marcus, Paul, and Laura. They'll break down everything from the gridiron to the grill for a big Week 11 on the college football schedule. SEC Nation presented by Regions Bank for South Carolina, Florida, right here on the SEC Network. Also live on the ESPN app and watch ESPN.
How good did that crew look, right? Paul Feinbaum with that distinguished look that he has.
Distinguished, all
those other sharp individuals. The answer to your question, Tom, is I think that he's going to be a tweener because right now his skill set hadn't caught up with his body. He's learning to move that long athletic body, and he's going to have to put some weight on it for the next level as well, just a little bit.
Gabriel on the glass there. Not shy about trying to bring it up the floor either. It's a freshman from Manchester, New Hampshire. Mulder to Calipari, second three. Wynyard with the jam.
I like Wynyard. I really do. I think he brings some bulk and good heavy size. You see the block by Mulder that Kentucky's going to need down the stretch.
And he's running the floor. 6 for Ty Wynyard, the redshirt freshman. Offensive rebound, and that's rejected by Gabriel. Calipari draws a foul in the open floor. Coming up on the SEC Halftime Report, Dari, Booger, and Chris Doering will take a look back at last night's remarkable finish here at Commonwealth Stadium between the Bulldogs and Wildcats, plus first half highlights and stats from our game. So Brad, Calipari to the free throw line. He's following in the footsteps of guys like Herky Rupp, Sean Sutton, and Saul Smith, who all played for the Dads here at Kentucky. Talked with Brad briefly before the game today. You know, I saw him around a lot when Cal was at Memphis, so this was, 9-10 years ago, and he was I didn't know he had ankles. I told him that. It's like, you were the pudgy kid with the bad hat and the sweats, and he has redefined his body through so much hard work, and he's put in so many hours in the gym that he's got a great stroke.
He really does. I mean, you think of Brad Calipari, played in the Derby Festival. I mean, this is a guy that wants to play, and he wants to do it at the highest level.
Gabriel with the jam. 10 for Gabriel. Mulder with another board. He's showing great effort tonight. 3-on-2 break. Wynyard. And it stays in.
That's by design, folks. There was a bounce pass in practice today, and Coach Cal wasn't livid, but he said everything we do is to the rim. Once again.
Not a great feed to Gabriel. Hawkins charged with his second personal foul. Kentucky in this first half, 72.9% from the floor. Big difference for Asbury. They're just 2 of 20 from behind the arc.
Well, we talked about that at the outset, Tom. The ability or inability to knock down the three-point shot would be the difference whether Asbury would be able to stay close or not. And now, if you're Asbury, again, you have to try to forget about this score. Realize that you're not going to be playing Bam Adebayo. You're not going to be playing against De'Aaron Fox, Isaiah Briscoe, Malik Monk during the season, and just try to do the best that you can against a team with 5 McDonald's All-Americans.
Bam's only played 8 minutes here in the first half. Christian Morgan knocks down the second free throw. 88-point first half for Kentucky. High percentage shots. And Michael Mulder can't hit the three. Gabriel's follow won't go. That'll bring it into the first half. Entertaining, to say the least. 88-25 is the score. Talk some Kentucky football coming up after this break. Back in the studio, Dari, Booger, and Chris going to recap what was a remarkable night over at Commonwealth Stadium. But here at Rupp Arena, #2 Kentucky in its final tune-up before the regular season begins. Slamming and jamming, and everything's sweet tonight. 88-point first half. Well, the college basketball season is upon us. This is the final exhibition for Kentucky. They put up 108 in their win against Clarion last time out, and well on their way to putting up big numbers again tonight as they close the exhibition campaign with Asbury. And then the real stuff tips off Friday. Kentucky at home against the Lumberjacks of Stephen F. Austin at 7. Followed by Billy Kennedy's Aggies at home against Northwestern State at 9. Both games can be seen streaming live on the ESPN app and Watch ESPN. Stephen F. Austin team that was a tournament team last year. Round of 32 before a last-second loss to Notre Dame, but they only returned 31% of their scoring. And wait and see what Kentucky can get done. There aren't a whole lot of walkover opponents in their non-conference scheduling. We showed you that, I think. All right, 88 points in the first half for Kentucky. Just as a historical reference, most points by a Kentucky team in a half. They put 86 up against LSU in January of '96 as Antoine Walker and Ron Mercer leading the way there against Ronnie Henderson and Maurice Carter. De'Aaron Fox, your leading scorer, with 18. What would be different in the second half for Kentucky relative to the first?
Well, Coach Cal always talks about habits. So I don't think that there's anything that should be different. This Kentucky Wildcat team will continue to work on themselves. Now, you see, obviously, a different lineup from the very beginning. He's going with guys that haven't played as much and looking at a different lineup. Here you see Hawkins that'll be playing more of the point guard position. We'll see how that works out.
Yeah, he's got Hawkins on the floor along with Humphreys, Killeya-Jones, Michael Mulder. So Derek Willis is the only starter that's on the floor to start the second half. Part of the rotation we talked to him about. He's got ideas of guys he wants to see together. So what's he looking for in terms of a group of 5 playing well together?
Well, he's looking to see what matchups or what combinations really work together. Right now, you know, this is a typical lineup if you look at normal college basketball with Willis kind of playing that 3 position. He'll see how mobile he is. He'll watch how well Hawkins can handle the basketball and really run a basketball team. He looked pretty good there.
Dominique Hawkins with his 7th point of the night. Asbury 2 of 20 from deep. Nice save in the corner. And they're now 2 of 22 from behind the arc.
I remember in a Sweet 16, Auburn was playing against Syracuse, and you saw Hakeem Warwick, and you saw Carmelo Anthony. And in that game, you said, wow, look how long those guys are. Kentucky has a very similar effect in the fact that when you look at them at every position, you realize how long these guys truly are. When you see Humphreys, a 7-footer, you look at Killeya-Jones at 6'10". You know, even their guards, De'Aaron Fox and Malik Monk, those guys are long. And so when you look at these 3-pointers that Asbury is taking, they're taking it over outstretched long arms, which is very challenging for a shooter.
Matter of fact, Syracuse won the national championship that year on a blocked 3-pointer at the end of the game out of the corner. Warwick able to extend and get a block and give Boeheim a national championship. In Carmelo's lone season, a foul inside, and Sasha Killeya-Jones will get a trip to the free throw line. It's an interesting story. You look back at the background of these guys and where they came from. He had originally committed to Virginia from Chapel Hill, North Carolina, but played his high school ball in Lynchburg, Virginia. Decommitted from Tony Bennett's squad, and now here at Kentucky as we get another line change for Asbury. How does Sasha Killeya-Jones fit into the rotation once we get into the regular season?
Well, he had a good game against Clarion, right? 15 minutes, he had 12 points. He suffered that laceration and missed much of the second half in that blue and white game. I think he's going to be a critical piece. And the reason why is because he can play the 4 or 5 position. He has some toughness, played quarterback in high school. I think he's a guy that'll really help this team.
Humphreys pulls down the board. It's a 4-on-2 break, and Willis adding to the highlights. And then a steal by Mulder. Killeya-Jones pushes it up. Willis gives it right back. Alex Dennis can't knock it down. Mulder will bring it across the timeline. A lot of different guys who can handle the ball for this Kentucky team. Mulder will spot up. Yep.
Critical minutes. Critical minutes for Mulder. You know, Coach Cal said that he looked at Mulder as being a huge contributor after the way he had practiced for most of the season. And you see a nice block that time by Willis, but he didn't see what he expected for him against Clarion. And this way, Mulder gets to build some more confidence of Coach Cal in him.
Mulder in transition. Wow, he's earning some minutes tonight. Mulder knocks down another 3. You agree that would be his role on this team?
Well, we said it in the first half. He shot 46% in JUCO. And the question has been for this Wildcat team, who's going to knock down shots when they need them? He could certainly be one of those guys.
Humphreys muscles it up, but they got a jump ball, and the possession arrow will stick with the Cats. Fresh 5 for Asbury. Kentucky, look at this. Snuck up on me. They're about to cross the century mark, and there's 17:37 to go in the game.
Never seen or been involved with anything quite like this. And you got to give credit, though, to Asbury. Listen, this team, not for 1 second have they quit or put their heads down. So they're fighting, they're scratching and clawing, and give Coach Schaus a lot of credit. Their team is not backing down. They're playing the way they're going to play during the season.
Yeah. And within their conference, that's what Will Schaus talked about. He said, listen, we're the perfect program to run this system because we're kind of a middle-of-the-pack team within our conference. We're looking for something to differentiate ourselves, and this would be it. Killeya-Jones fighting for the rebound, able to put it up and in. Calipari's not going to be happy about that. Nobody picked him up, but then Killeya-Jones with the block, and that's going to get 5 new Cats off the bench with the defensive breakdown.
Well, and you see these substitutions. I mean, Kentucky and Coach Cal has no choice. They've got to get their guys reps, and this is an opportunity once again for him to look at the lineup that I think could possibly be their starting lineup.
So the biggest difference in what we saw, what we have seen, would be Gabriel starting at the 4. Then you got Derek Willis coming off the bench.
Sure. Well, you know, depending on what team you're playing, obviously Willis is a more proven and seasoned veteran who's been there before, who's proven that he can knock down that 3-point shot and spread the floor, so it makes it more difficult to guard guys like De'Aaron Fox as they penetrate.
You know, I wonder, too, if part of Calipari's thinking, if this is the starting lineup he ends up with, that it's easier for a freshman to start a game where Willis has experience and he knows what to expect coming off the bench.
I think that could make a critical difference. And Willis displays what the rest of this team does, and it comes from the top down in Coach Calipari, which is unselfishness, loving each other as brothers on their team. I mean, I've seen a lot of close-knit teams, but I've seen this Kentucky team practice 3 or 4 times now. They really like each other. They get along well with one another, and they root for one another.
Another free throw coming for Boucher Ramabu, freshman from Philadelphia out of Oak Hill Academy. The head coach there, Steve Smith, is Will Schaus's wife's uncle. So never hurts to have a family connection to get a kid out of Oak Hill, that's for sure. Will's wife, Whitney, is also an Asbury grad. Malik!
Oh, Malik!
What are you going to say? Would you have that rated over Willis's gun?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, he got a 10.
Siler Smith with a bucket for the Lexington native. We're going to hashtag this one with a SportsCenter Top 10. This is Malik Monk, ladies and gentlemen, from the logo.
He's having fun while he does it. Nice killer crossover. Take flight, young man. Take flight.
Here's another opportunity. And De'Aaron Fox throws down the jam. So many dunks in this one that we can't keep up. 23 for Fox. 18 dunks tonight for Kentucky. So here's the one that we missed live, but get a chance to see what De'Aaron Fox did. It's a 107-30 lead for Kentucky. Monk's throwing him down, taking him court to court. And now Malik Monk again right into your living room. Cats hitting all the right notes. A 107-30 lead tonight in their final exhibition game. You look at how John Calipari has put teams together over the years. And, Damien, there's a few different teams that have really stood out to you in terms of not only the success, but the building of the program each individual year that has led to Cal's success.
Sure. I mean, there's been different ingredients. You look at this group, you remember Bledsoe, John Wall, Darius Miller, Patterson, and, of course, DeMarcus Cousins. That group ran into a buzzsaw, though, in the Elite Eight against West Virginia. And then the 2011-12 team, NCAA champions, probably one of the most talented teams that we've seen here. Kid Gilchrist and then the Harrison twins, they made their mark here. Willie Cauley-Stein, Devin Booker, the way he's playing, Dakari Johnson in the D-League, still making his way. And then last year's team just came up a little short, but that backcourt in Willis and Jamal Murray put on shows just sensational. And so we've seen the success in the past, Tom. The question is, 2016-17, where will the Cats go this year?
#1 recruiting class under John Calipari in all those previous seasons, including playing in the championship game twice. De'Aaron Fox running out. Lob. Yes, the finish from Gabriel. So, is there any common thread? We showed you the recruiting class and the history there, but is there any other common thread between how those teams played on the court?
Sure. The common thread is that there is a significant amount of talent on this team. Coach Cal said that he thinks this could be his most talented recruiting class. Now, what he doesn't have, I don't think, are some of the veterans that he's had in some of his other years. But I think these veterans can contribute enough, and I think that he has just as much depth as any team besides the team that started off 38-0.
Here's Isaiah Briscoe out front to Adebayo. His head was above the rim, and it looked so easy.
Well, and it all stemmed from what, Tom? The turnover. You turn over the basketball against some teams, and it's points. Against this Kentucky team,
it's dunks. Well, Isaiah Briscoe made us look bad. He won't this time. Get above the rim, fella.
And what's unique about this team is not only are they good at defense, I think these guys really enjoy playing defense.
The interesting part about that is that John Calipari was talking to us today about how he's working with his team. And he said, there's so much for my team to learn that in years past, I could just focus on offense, maybe have the staff work on defense or vice versa. He said, but there's not a drill that we do this year that doesn't involve both. It's constant teaching on the offensive end and the defensive end.
Right. He was saying that they have to be taught so fast. So that's why he was so thankful about his staff. And this is a prime example. The long outstretched arms of Malik Monk. One bounce up the floor. Bam Adebayo. Easy like Sunday morning. You turn over against this team, it is points on the other end.
Asbury team that's turned it over 19 times thus far tonight. Kentucky on a 10-0 run over the last 157. 19 top 10 recruits since 2009 that leads all of college basketball. Those recruits in recent history have turned into one-and-dones, and they have turned into first-round picks.
Tom, you think about Michigan State, Tom Izzo, Miles Bridges there this year, always has good groups, and Kentucky's got to play them. They lead the Big Ten with 8 current players in the NBA on rosters. Kentucky has 24. It just shows the dominance of this program right now, and that's not a knock on Izzo, of course, in Michigan State. It just shows the collective talent that has come through Rupp Arena in Big Blue Nation.
John Calipari has had 18 freshmen chosen in the first round since he arrived 7 years ago. Oh, by the way, the fall signing period begins Wednesday. So more coming. 21 first-round draft picks since 2010. Kentucky the next closest with 11. Pardon me, Duke, excuse me. I was thinking there as De'Aaron Fox picks up his 25th point. John Calipari's changed recruiting. And that now Mike Krzyzewski, in recent years, the last 3 years or so, has decided, you know what they're doing works. We better get on or we're going to be left behind.
Sure. And Coach Krzyzewski has done a tremendous job of managing the veteran players to come back. Emil Jefferson there this year, Matt Jones, of course, Grayson Allen. And so that's why I think Duke right now is ranked as the #1 team, is because they do have a nice mix of recruits that have come in along with veterans. But I'd put this talent of Kentucky up against anyone in the country.
Killeya-Jones returns along with Hawkins, and De'Aaron Fox with a little bit of is that a limp heading back to the bench? Pointing at his right ankle. Kentucky on a 14-0 run. They're shooting 74%. Bam will challenge the shot, and he pulls down the rebound, took a shot to the face, and gets rid of it. Bam Adebayo, freshman from North Carolina. On the other end, Killeya-Jones with the jam. It's a glorified scrimmage, so it is what it is. But you can see so many great pieces to this Kentucky team. And Bam Adebayo is a 6'10", 260-pound piece.
Well, I think that, people wonder what the legacy of Coach Cal will be. Obviously, being a player-first coach, initiating the one-and-done era. But I think something else that he may be remembered for is the lob. What's been a constant with this basketball team, the lob used to be looked at as showtime or maybe showing off a little bit. This is the best play for their team because they're so long, because they have such an athletic and size advantage to go up and over the defense, and they've been displaying that.
Bam Adebayo will go to the free throw line. North Carolina Gatorade Player of the Year. Preseason first-team All-SEC selection as a freshman. He's on the Kareem Abdul-Jabbar watch list as the top center in college basketball.
So how about the nickname Bam came from when he was a youngster, a little toddler, and flipped over a coffee table while watching the Flintstones.
Bam Bam. It's much better than Pebbles. Pebbles just doesn't have the same ring to it. Not at 6'10", 260. Showing some range, not quite there. Here's Monk.
And so obviously if you're watching film and you're Bam Adebayo, that's the shot that you have to work on. A pick and pop against better competition. They're not going to allow him to roll, and that's the shot he'll have to make.
John Calipari want him taking that shot during the season?
Sure, he'll want him taking it with confidence. He's got to get in the gym and make sure that he can knock it down.
Mabu has 8 and a dunk on the other end. There's Bam again. 126 points on the board. By the way, Will Schaus was a big Loyola Marymount fan. Oh my goodness! I've got that number 1. The system that he runs is based on Paul Westhead's system. Remember that game that Gathers and Kimball played against LSU back in the day?
Sure.
It can be immensely entertaining, especially when you get out front like this. What do you got? How are we going to pick the best dunk of the night?
Malik Monk tried to make his head hit the bottom of the net.
Double clutch, reverse. Most total points by Kentucky in exhibition game was 127. That was in 1974. They topped that tonight. Scoring exhibition game in Kentucky history. 128 points. There's still 11:20 to go. Take a look at the preseason poll within the Southeastern Conference in Kentucky. The overwhelming favorite. Who would you move around among these 14? Who do you think's too high? Who do you think's too low?
Well, first and foremost, I think it's wide open. I really do. You know, Florida having 70% of their scoring, rebounding, and assists coming back. I really like their veteran leadership. Coach Michael White, they'll have a chance to get in their new arena this year. We talked about Texas A&M earlier, how much they lost. Georgia's a team, along with Arkansas, who I think could be sleepers in this league simply because they have different guys that we don't really know about, right? You look at Georgia, you've got Yante Mayton and J.J. Frazier, but they've had some guys that really picked up over the summer by going on that trip overseas.
You know, the one guy I'm really looking forward to seeing, and I know he shot the ball well the other night in their exhibition game, is Cullen Neal for Ole Miss. Ole Miss always seems to have that high-volume shooter, right? Does he fit that mold of the guys that came before him?
Well, no, he's not Marshall Henderson. You know, he's not Stephon Moody, but what he is a calming presence, has a knockdown jump shot and size at his position. And Coach Cal does it in a different way than Coach Andy Kennedy, but he's similar in the fact that he's changing teams every year as well.
What do you think of the team? What do you think of the team Avery Johnson has put together this year?
I like their team. I like it a lot. Dejon Ingram having a chance to really come back and be healthy. They have tremendous size all around. They have veteran leadership. Shannon Hale. I think they're a team that can play as well. Like I said, you look at the recruiting classes at Auburn, at Bruce Pearl, and Ben Howard at Mississippi State also. This will be a surprise lead. You see the block that time by Humphries.
Mulder will tee it up. Wide left. Freedom to shoot for Clarion Washington. And Willis has it taken away from behind. Will be tied up, and it will stay with Asbury.
Let me tell you something. Alex Dennis is a gritty guy. And give credit to Asbury. They're still fighting 133-34, but no quit.
9:47 to go at Rupp Arena. Number 2, Kentucky closing the exhibition season in style. 33-34, almost a 100-point lead for the Cats. Tom Hart, Damian Fishback. John Calipari's been busy. He was at Game 7 of the World Series. He's authored another book, and there's some great lessons in the chapters in here. One of them is the past is the past. One of the things Cal has said in the past is, if you're talking about your past, that means you haven't done anything now. So live in the now. The book will be released the day of their Michigan State game coming up November 15th. So there's a lot of good reading in there, but I love that because I think that's a great lesson for Big Blue Nation. This team is different than any other team they've had before, but the expectations are always the same here.
Sure. Well, and he's been ultra successful in doing that and putting the past behind him, not relishing on his accolades. You know, you look at a guy, one of 2 coaches to have 400-plus wins in his first 16 years. The other one, Roy Williams, I mean, he's done everything that you have set out to do, from the national championships to the Final Four to the draft picks, but still continues to put that behind him, as you said, Tom, in the past and press forward.
2 title game appearances, national championship at Kentucky, 4 regular season and tournament titles in the SEC. There's another lesson in Chapter 6 that could apply this Asbury team. It's about efficiency, not volume. Asbury sees it the other way. They're all volume tonight, and that's what they want to be during their season.
Well, and you see Coach Cal on the sideline still teaching and coaching right now. And what impresses me about Coach Calipari is the fact that he really wants for each player, right? Every single player, from the first player on the team to the worst player on the team, for them to reach their full potential. And so when you know that as a player, you begin to like one another. You become unselfish, and that's what has been displayed by this team.
Big, great matchup, by the way. The book comes out on November 15th, same day they meet Michigan State in the Champions Classic, as Killeya-Jones puts it inside. And we talked to Cal today a little bit about the development of this program. Because they're so young, that there are other teams, veterans on their roster. You mentioned Duke. Oregon is certainly one that returns a lot of talent. Kansas returns, lost a little bit, but returns a lot. So Kentucky will look vastly different, or should, towards the second half of the season than they will early. So what does that mean for those non-conference opponents that will appear in such big games like Michigan State, North Carolina, Louisville?
Well, it means they're going to be much more competitive, you know, than this team. Even though there's been a lot of fight, there's a size differential, just a talent differential. But I think that it means by conference play, the Wildcats ought to know where they're at. And so he said February, early in the season, he said he hopes to know where this team stands a lot earlier than that, and I think that he will.
Dominique Hawkins got banged up at the tail end of that play. Kentucky leads by 102, and Hawkins will come out, and Calipari receives a nice ovation as the coach's son returns.
And Coach Calipari said his son Brad wants to get into coaching. A lot of places you can learn, tremendous programs and traditions all across the country, but hard to find any better than this one here.
There was one coaching change on Cal's staff going into this season. John Roebuck has been Cal's right-hand man for forever, going back to the UMass days, and has handled a lot of the scouts and a lot of the film work. Now Joel Justice takes over his role as an assistant coach. They'll work together in scouting, but it's Joel's job to take over what Robes did so well for so long. That's to direct the team on game day during the walkthrough and walk them through the scout. A fantastic basketball mind. Humphreys has it. Here's Mulder. Killeya-Jones comes through for the jam.
And so even though you may be going against smaller players, the moves that they're making, a nice inside pivot by Killeya-Jones that time.
Wow, nice rejection. You ever seen a game where the winning team was up by 101?
Never, buddy.
It's a night's difference. Well, a night like tonight, we can look back at some of these Kentucky highlights, and there are plenty of them. They've had their own mini dunk contest here tonight. Not exactly Dominique versus MJ, but it's pretty darn good. So let's rate them as we go along. That one looked pretty simple. This was a nice one from Willis. He also has a great one coming up here shortly. They played above the rim all night.
Yeah, you know, what I really think this really displays is how unselfish they are, though. How unselfish they are, and then defensively, how they like to get out and score. And rock the cradle. I love that one by Willis. Might have been my favorite one.
I had a 9-5 on that one. I gave Monk an easy 10 on that reverse jam. And look how high Adebayo gets so easily.
Oh, man. Oh, man.
Well, that is going to lead to a high percentage of shots, and Kentucky has made 73% of their shots. They're approaching a record. This is only an exhibition game, but they're approaching a record, the most points scored in any Kentucky game. That number is 143. It came back in 1956 when they beat Georgia 143-66. Jerry Bird had 22 in that game. Bob Burrow had 21. I don't know, the stats are inconclusive, how many dunks they had in that one.
Give credit. They do not stop. Clarion Washington with another three-pointer. came in shooting about 28% and trying to improve that percentage tonight.
Asbury's played 16 players tonight. They are 4 of 41 from deep. Johnny David on the floor now for Kentucky. Here's Calipari for 3. He's already hit 1, but off the back rim. And Pulliam inside, getting his first minutes of the night. Johnny David's dad, Joe, played for Pitt when Cal was starting his coaching career as an assistant coach with the Panthers. And here's David to tee one up. You betcha. Bench loving it. Clarion Washington doesn't mind getting his shots up.
Still got some faithful Asbury fans in here as well as Big Blue Nation. You look at a blowout like this and the arena is still filled. Thousands of people. Just shows you how much they love basketball in this state.
Foul on Alex Dennis will be his first. Wednesday at 7 p.m. Eastern. SEC Inside. All access pass to Auburn's close win against Vandy. Never before seen footage and sounds, including one of the most incredible blocked field goals you've ever seen. Zach Cunningham for Vandy went over the top of the center. He showed some Malik Monk-like hops to block the field goal. That's Wednesday at 7 on the SEC Network. Also live on the ESPN app and watch ESPN. There's your Asbury faithful. It'll stay with Kentucky. The next field goal for Kentucky will give them a school record for points scored in any game. That record 143 back in 1956.
And let's be candid. Asbury loves the opportunity to play here. I mean, you look at, oh, he's versatile. See another basket by Wynyard Gabriel. There are teams that are waiting, standing in line to play this type of game. And so the appreciation and the memory, even though not what they thought it would be, will still be cherished by Asbury for their lives.
No, and it's worthwhile to the program. Okay, they're getting a $20,000 check to play in this game. So it's not just the experience, but it helps out the athletic department. They'll get new scoreboards with the $20,000 that they're going to get and plenty of other things. But if they're going to play this system, they've got to make sure they have plenty of light bulbs, too.
Got to make sure that they make a few more three-pointers as well. These, you know, it's one thing to take the shots. And listen, they're just overmatched. Listen, this game, as far as the Kentucky Wildcats, there's not a lot of teams that are going to be as defensively sound, as athletic, have the speed and ability to get out and just break the pressure like the Wildcats have done.
Will Henderson has another free throw coming his way. And credit to Will Schaus, the Asbury coach. He had a decision to make. Do we play our system? Do we stay true to who we are, knowing that we're going to get run out of the gym tonight? Or do we try and slow it down, shorten the game, maybe keep the points a little bit lower than as Calipari is off the mark from the corner, lower than it may be. Listen, we got to play our system. We got to do it the way we do it. It turns out they might lose by 100 tonight, but there's no reason to be shameful about it. Dalton Peters drills his first three.
Peters said, no, we're not, Tom Hart.
Well, I guess that's what we're looking for the last 4.5. Can Kentucky win this game by 100? Wynyard with the jam. He's got 10. Ty Wynyard with the steal. Wynyard has it knocked away. Wynyard is from New Zealand, right? He went to Rangitoto College. That was a high school that he matriculated at. It was the same high school as Brooklyn Nets GM Sean Marks. Marks was the first New Zealand-born NBA player. It's on Auckland's North Shore. Ended up playing his college ball at Cal before enjoying a nice NBA career. Now in the front office. Pulliam gives it up. Mulder.
I see you, Mulder. I'm telling you, I think he's a guy. Coach Cal even mentioned that Larry Brown said it watching one of his practices, that he thought Mulder was a guy that would help him before this year was over.
It's a long season, and you're going to get opportunities.
Well, listen, I think it's a foregone conclusion that teams are going to look at this Wildcat team and try to slow them down. How do you slow them down? Well, one is zone. I think they'll see a lot of zone throughout this year, and people wait to then prove that they can knock down the shot or not.
Everybody's scoring tonight for this Kentucky team, and speaking to the true team effort as Johnny David knocks down the three, the starters showed their appreciation. Well, lively building tonight. Kentucky up by triple digits on NAIA's Asbury Eagles. The night got started in a unique way. We had to teach Damian Fishback what the Mannequin Challenge was, and they had, what, 23,000 in here, all still, and doing a fantastic job at the Mannequin Challenge here at Rupp Arena. Cheerleaders were in on it. There's somebody dabbing in the background. Even the blue coats held their poses. Look at these guys. Hey, you're blinking. You're the worst mannequin ever, Damian.
We have been holding that mannequin pose for about 45 seconds. So
that's why it's a challenge, okay? If it was easy, we wouldn't call it a challenge.
If I got to blink, I got to blink, Tom.
Jordan Houston on the floor for Asbury, able to empty their bench a little bit. And a little runner goes for Jack Schmidt. Jack Schmidt can forever tell everybody he got a bucket against Kentucky and Rupp Arena. That bucket made it a 98-point game. Back to 100 on Mulder's follow.
He's going to take a lot of confidence from this game, Tom. Regardless of who they were playing, the competition level, seeing the basketball go through the hoop on this type of stage in front of the crowd will give him confidence.
There's two elements to that, and I agree that his confidence is the most important part of it for his development and the opportunities that he'll have. But the question in terms of playing time availability will be what kind of confidence does his coach take out of his performance tonight?
Sure. Well, one thing about games like this, if you make shots, you're making shots regardless. I mean, if you're making three-point shots, free throws, those are shots that you're seeing go through the hoop. What he won't see is how Mulder responds against elite competition. Taller, leaner, longer, more athletic guys.
Jordan Houston has his shot block. I want to show you something about Jordan Houston here. Number 55, the freshman, has pizza socks on. When's the last time you saw a guy on the floor in socks with a slice of pizza on?
How about never?
Seeing something new tonight.
To each his or her own.
I believe those were Supreme. Pulliam. Nice move by Dylan Pulliam. He's got a couple of buckets tonight. Transylvania transfer. He's a computer engineering major. Busy writing codes using differential equations. A differential equation tonight has been a 100-point lead for Kentucky thanks to 70% shooting versus 21% for Asbury.
Well, the next game will be different. Obviously, when you look at Stephen F. Austin, Kyle Keller at Texas A&M, and who will be familiar with the SEC, familiar with coming in to Kentucky. Derek Jones as well, who was at Vanderbilt. You know, the competition level will step up.
Heard from Doris Burke tonight, one of the hardest workers in our business, will be here Friday to call that game on against Stephen F. Austin. And yeah, things change when the schedule turns and the calendar turns the regular season. In and out for David. The game on the SEC Network at 7 p.m. There's another three coming your way. It's the first for Timmy Bradshaw. You get Stephen F. Austin and Canisius, and then you've got Michigan State. And you better be ready to go then.
1 minute left in the game.
Kentucky with wow.
Mr. Mulder going all the way up.
X-Files X Factor. And a three the other way. Kentucky's got to hurry. Try and make this a 100-point win.
Mark my words, before this year ends.
Well, he was a topic of conversation with us and John Calipari today. What does he need to do to get minutes, and how does he figure into the rotation? Tonight's performance in a glorified exhibition will go a long way to showing his coach that he can perform on this stage. It'll be a school record for points for Kentucky, 156 tonight, to close the exhibition campaign with a win over NAIA Division II Asbury. Second half star Michael Mulder. He will finish his night with 20 points, including 4 threes. John Calipari and Will Schaus shake hands at midcourt. It's exactly what Calipari was looking for tonight. Some different combinations together. You see how you can defend the three, and they're magnificent. They held Asbury to 8 of 49 shooting from behind the arc, and this guy opened eyes. Michael Mulder trying to find some minutes, and he finishes this game with an exclamation point.
Well, I saw it in practice probably a week or two before SEC Media Day, and he, along with Dominique Hawkins and Derek Willis, as far as amongst the returning players, really impressed me. And so I was a little surprised at his play against Clarion, as was the staff. And how he played tonight really displayed a lot more confidence, and I think it's something that young man can take with him. And I think that's something that Coach Cal will look at and say, this guy can help us.
De'Aaron Fox finished the game with 25 points and 11 of 14 shooting. Kentucky 69% from the floor. And Fox had a lot of these points in the first half. He had 17 in the first half. It was a remarkable start for the freshman point guard, who is showing that he can be a great scorer as well as a distributor of the basketball. He had 7 assists in their first exhibition game, and tonight he finishes with 4 assists. And so Kentucky able to blow out Asbury with a 156-63 final. All Kentucky tonight. They set a school record for points scored in any game, regular season or otherwise. So, successful night here in downtown Lexington as the Cats get ready to start their season against Stephen F. Austin. Our final score, 156-63. Kentucky knocks off Asbury. For Damian Fishback, our sensational crew here tonight at Rupp Arena, I'm Tom Hart. Good night from Lexington.